chief deputy or deputy chief.
Welcome to Shooting Straight with Brad and David. I'm David Klosh, your Navajo County Sheriff, and my partner.
I'm Brad Carline, your Navajo County Attorney.
So this month, we're actually coming at you live. This is the first time we've done a live stream on Facebook and other Sholo TV apps. But we have two special guests for our first live show. We have Bruce Tucker with our Deputy Chief over Law Enforcement Services,
Yes, sir.
the Sheriff's Office, and Deputy Chief Ernie Garcia over Custody. So thank you both for being here. Traditionally, at the end of the year, we usually have a kind of a recap of all the happenings of what went on in Navajo County, specifically with the Sheriff's Office. There's a lot of public interest as to what went on with our crime trends, what's going on with within the jail, and what are we working on in the future. So let's just jump into it about how did this year shape out compared to other years as far as numbers of calls? Are we seeing an increase of violent crimes? What are some of the trends we're seeing?
Well, Sheriff, Mr. Carline, thanks for the invite here. So basically, from our point of view, our calls for service have declined. Not a lot, but some. And unfortunately, our more violent crimes seem to have inclined or gone up. And so we're responding to that by adding to our detectives unit. We now have 4 detective positions. We have a detective sergeant. We've gotten funding through ASA and the state legislature, $120,000 to provide for some additional training and to work with the other agencies. That's kind of a spread source, but we're managing it to get the detectives in our area more specialized training to deal with these advanced violent crimes that we're facing.
You mentioned you're getting more funding from ASA. What is ASA?
Thank you. Arizona Sheriff's Association, Sheriff Klaus is a member, an active member of that. I think you're a board member, sir. But it's been an active group that goes to the legislature and seeks support for our services.
And when you say violent crime, what does that encompass? What do you consider a violent crime?
For us, violent crime would be person-to-person crime, use of guns, use of knives, serious assaults, those types of events, not just property crime.
Sex crimes being another one
Yes,
that
sir.
we've seen some increases on that. And you mentioned we talked about increasing our criminal investigations unit. Means we're seeing our calls for service have kind of plateaued.
So you're your patrol officer.
Patrol officers, our daily 911 calls. What we'd like Bruce talking about though is the severity of these crimes. And so this year we've received more positions and we've elected to put those positions to investigating those more serious felony crimes that your office would prosecute.
Any reason you think that serious crimes are going up, and do the other law enforcement agencies in the county see the same trend?
I believe we're all seeing that universally as far as our area in Navajo County. I think one of the things we've also seen is an increase in our seizure of narcotics. Hence, we've also established a full-time interdiction squad with canines to try to combat that. Fentanyl has certainly been an increase and a problem for us. Our overdoses are increasing. I'm sure my cohort, DC Garcia, is seeing that in the jails, unfortunately.
So do you think that the drugs are interplaying with the serious crimes?
You know, from my experience, it seems like all the serious crimes that we're investigating have a nexus in some way to drug use.
Yeah. I think there's a direct correlation to the proactivity that we're doing as well. Like you mentioned, Chief Tucker, is we are more aggressive in our investigations with more detectives. We have a criminal interdiction unit. MCAT, or Major Crimes Apprehension Team, has more participation, and I think we're serving more search warrants than we had before.
Part of what I'm hearing you saying is you don't just track the stats, you use that to determine resource allocation.
Correct.
We absolutely proactively monitor that. One of the things we've done this year I think has been very helpful is working together with Deputy Chief Garcia and his staff on the detention or jail side and freeing up some more of the patrol. We took our admin sergeant, who was previously a sworn deputy sheriff, moved him back into patrol to get more manpower on the road, and used one of our detention deputy sergeants as an admin sergeant.
Yeah.
So you're having to allocate more of the limited resources you have to the law enforcement versus the jail side. And is that mainly because of the serious crimes?
Yeah, particularly.
And I think back to your original point of just allocating resources where sworn police officers are doing, peace officer work, where we can find qualified civilians to do more administrative, clerical stuff to ease the off time or the downtime that a peace officer would spend inside the office.
We got 10,000 square miles
Yeah,
to cover.
yeah.
So that puts you thin manpower everywhere, even though about half of that is you have true jurisdiction. It's not federal land, reservation land. Is there one part of the county or the other that you see a bigger spike, or is it just countywide?
I think it's universal, Mr. Carline. I think it's everywhere from Winslow all the way to Pine Top.
It is. Yeah, you're just seeing. But in other ways, we had more positions. We allocated those things. We're using more civilians, but we also started another program with more reserves or volunteers.
Correct. Our armed posse has been a huge help. So if a deputy makes an arrest and he's in Pine Top or she's in Pine Top, to drive to Holbrook or even to come to Show Low takes time. Now with this new program that we've instituted, we can turn that over to a well-trained, not certified peace officer, but a well-trained individual who's willing to volunteer their time. The deputies in the field can do all the booking paperwork online through our systems, and then that armed posseman can do the driving, freeing that deputy to go back out and answer calls for service.
You mentioned that they can book online from the patrol unit and their mobile, I forget what MDT is, what I know. I don't remember what it stands for.
Fair.
How are you leveraging the use of technology like that to allow your deputies and detectives to be more active in the investigations and work? Are you using more technology?
Oh, absolutely, we are. And part of the support of the Board of Supervisors and our funding is to buy that new software, that technology, forensic tools, everything from analysis, etc., and our mobile data computers in our cars is a tremendous help for us compared to when we started having to do things in paper.
Triplicate, if I remember right.
Right.
What other communication tools have you guys been able to increase or get better usage of this past year?
So one of the key things that we were facing in patrol was areas where we couldn't communicate via radio. If someone needed help, if they needed medical help, or if a deputy needed a second person to come help them, a second deputy, communicating with our dispatch center was always a challenge. Recently, we received funding through DEMA.
What is DEMA?
The Department of Emergency Management, to fund a radio system with towers, additional towers that relay our communications, and better radio systems. The goal, what we're working toward and we're in progress of, is issuing the same radio so we can all communicate amongst agencies and using LTE or cell technology. So if they're in an area that a radio tower doesn't work, they're hopefully in an area where a cell communication will work.
Yeah, we've deployed those to all. We're in the process of getting those deployed to all agencies. So the sheriff's office had a big push to have kind of uniformity across the county. So as you can see, we're involved in every community. Mm-hmm. If someone's on VHF, UHF, digital, we have the capability and ability to speak with anybody in any part of the county.
And oftentimes you will assist tribal law enforcement or federal law enforcement. Will you be able to communicate seamlessly with tribal and federal too now?
Yeah. So our communications now, we have the ability to talk with any agency on any platform anywhere in the state now.
Oh, anywhere in the state?
Yeah. When you go to, we have our traditional radio towers here that speak on, the traditional, but when you go to that LTE, which is cellular, that you can speak, if you're in Phoenix, you can key up off a cell tower and come back to Holbrook.
I know that there have been people in the community who like to get the police scanners and listen. Yeah. Can they still do that with this new technology?
If it's on the traditional UHF and VHF, but if it's on digital or LTE, it's
and
encrypted.
I also know that sometimes the bad guys would scan you too, so you'll be able to make sure they can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be on a different network completely. But.
And what kind of technology are you using in the jail to help make things easier for your detention officers and the safety of everybody?
Well, and along with what Chief Tucker said, as the nexus of crimes have increased to more violent, that's what we're getting in custody. So we're having to look at how we operate managing a more violent population and a population that's creating more opportunities to try to bring in contraband that's dangerous for them, dangerous for the other inmates, and for the staff.
Just fentanyl, which can be such small doses, that must be a nightmare for you.
And it is, and that was one of the things as we've gone through this last year, and as the crimes have increased and the amount of fentanyl related crimes, whether it's possession or use, or somebody comes in with a violent crime, but we're using fentanyl. We're seeing a very dangerous mix. So we've had to change our process, how we identify and treat people as they're walking in the door, making sure that our medical staff are keenly aware of the issues related with fentanyl, so that we can identify it immediately and start treating it. Because once they start detoxing, it's a dangerous effects. Some of the other technology that we're utilizing is that we're bringing in a mobile communication system that is set up to be able to connect with doctors from remote areas, that they can communicate with our nurses and do assessments of individuals. It'll have tools on it to where they can do the blood pressure and utilize the different instruments, and the doctor can see the results as it's being done, and the nurse is facilitating utilizing those things, and that's that's coming in the door. We utilize.
Sounds like a cost savings too, instead of having to take them to a hospital or other things.
It is. It really is. I mean, if you think about not just the cost of taking them to the hospital, but the cost of the staff that are involved, the time that they're involved, and the time that they're not in play on the road or in the jail doing other things, it becomes very costly when we have to send somebody out to the hospital.
So something new, we kind of, speaking of technology and things that we're using in detention on patrols, we rolled out a new app. I know that's kind of
Yes.
the trendy thing that people do apps. So what's the benefit of law enforcement having an app, both for both of you?
Well, from a patrol perspective, if we're out on a car crash and we need to shut down a road, we can now send out a notice to those who are on the app to notify them. It also notifies of bad weather. For your side or the detention side, there's information readily available, correct, on frequently asked questions and who's in custody. And honestly, a lot of folks are really interested in sex offender information, those that are on release or on monitoring systems through probation, et cetera, or those who are just required to register. Through that app, you can look at the map, you can query names. It's really a great tool.
And the technology, I mean, if you think about it, almost everybody walks around with a phone, and the app is readily available. There's immediate access to information with the sheriff's office, whether it's pushed out by us or they're soliciting information about us. It's readily available. They can open up the app. They can get in there. They can find out information about inmates. They can find out information about employment. They can find information about different activities that we have or we're involved in, or emergencies that are out there, like Chief Tucker was saying. It's very immediate and easy to use. All you have to do is download the app, and one touch and you're there, and you're in tune with what's going on with the sheriff's office.
And I appreciate the notices.
Yeah. And our dispatch center receives obviously hundreds of calls every day, emergencies, non-emergency, and some what we call administrative calls. And one of the major calls, or not major calls, but one of the highest recording amount of calls, seeking police reports, in custody information, bond amounts. And so those types of information that are now accessible to the public without calling through the dispatch center, which can more be used to dispatch emergencies. Getting a police report is a high use, and of course like you said, Bruce, the sex offender registry, which is a public safety notification for a lot of people.
And then in the jail, I understand that you're expanding the use of partners in behavioral health to help the inmates as they leave.
Absolutely. So as the trend that we're seeing is as people are coming in and we're having more and more issues with substance abuse, the greatest need we see is providing more opportunities and assistance with maintaining sobriety. And it's a difficult thing to do on your own, but when you're in custody, it's even harder because you're confined, you're restricted to what you can and can't do. So we are looking at every opportunity we can to provide those ancillary services that you can get, in your local community inside the jail, so that we have a better success rate as people are leaving. And the partnering with CBI, they've brought in release coordinators that help facilitate people engaging in services before they're released, so that as they're being released, they're already aware of those services, or they're already engaged in providing services, so they're not having to try to leave us, find shelter, find food, find those services in the community. They're already engaged in getting those. And then the other half of that is that they're also bringing in mentors, which are engaging the population and working with their sobriety while in custody, so it's not something that they're having to wait to do until they're released.
We've had a lot of discussion. It seems like substance use disorder is a major driver of crime, unfortunately. And you're trying to help on the backside too, and so they don't cycle through. And we also, I think it was you, Mr. Tucker, who mentioned a lot of overdoses in the county. I think I heard some of your inmates get Narcan when they leave.
So every inmate, when they walk out the door, receive a little care package that has Narcan in it and has also informational pamphlets. We engaged the Reese Center, which is local in the Pinetop Show Low area, and they have provided us pamphlets of all the information of the services that they provide. We put those in the kits as well, so as they walk out the door, we're giving them something in case that they have a slip and they use, and if they we provide that emergency need of Narcan.
If nothing else, it's important for them to have tools.
Right.
And what you've just been talking about, it's just the tip of the iceberg of what you and the sheriff are trying to do to help people with reentry, and we should have a whole show on that coming up. But we're also running out of time today to get into more about that. I want to thank both of you and the sheriff for all you do for our community, and for you for joining us for our first live broadcast of Shooting Straight with Brad and David. And please join us again next month for Shooting Straight.